Goody, goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Ryan, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Connington, joined by my fellow co-host and filmmaker, John Woolscroft.
A hideously ugly motion picture. The true horror of New Year's Evil is the endless musical numbers by punk rockers and shots of dancing fans. Amongst them, the bloody kills are a welcome relief.
Nice. Here's the thing. I'm going to use the term punk rockers very loosely because I actually do listen to punk rock from this era, and I find it lacking.
Yeah, it was just one of those. So, like, the hard-boiled detectives could be like, well, yeah, them punk kids is probably one of them calling in. Yeah, them, like, maniacs, you know.
Yeah. Well, anyway, jumped right into that fucker, didn't we? We're in episode, I think we're on 230 this week. Yeah, 230. And this week is obviously New Year's Eve. This will be hopefully probably coming out on New Year's Day. It's that weird time where the days after Christmas and right before New Year's is a very bizarro time period where honestly the days blend together to the point where you're just like, what day is it again? Oh, it's the 28th. Or it's the 3rd. Okay. Well, Christmas was like, oh, it was just a couple days ago. So yeah, it's, for me at least, it's been kind of a blur. How about you?
Oh, yeah. If it's the 28th and you know what day it is, you're not doing it right.
No, you're not.
Leftovers, beer, cookies, just like not doing anything, just wallowing on the couch, playing like new video games or watching new movies or whatever you got for Christmas,
See, for me, I was a weird guy because I started my new job on the 28th.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, you probably knew what goddamn day it was.
I kind of didn't, but at the same time, it's like it's a very bizarre situation because usually I'm off this this time of the year, but for me, it's been like my new boss was like, hey, by the way, you're probably going to be the only person working because everyone took off, and I'm like, it's cool, I'm cool with that, especially because the whole thing's work from home. But either way, today we're going to be talking about probably the only New Year's movie that's horror ever. Like, I don't think there's ever been I can't imagine one that's centered around New Year's other than this one in the horror film genre.
Unless you hate Ghostbusters 2.
I mean, I don't hate it. I don't consider that a horror film. I consider that a comedy, more or less, with horror elements sprinkled in. But yeah, we're going to be talking about New Year's Evil from 1980. This is a weird fucking movie.
I think it's fair to say we're only talking about this movie because it's called New Year's Evil.
We're literally doing the job that the filmmakers knew was going to happen. Yeah. Okay? They knew there's no horror movie centered around New Year's Eve, so let's just make one real quick for what? $500,000, and
God, it cost that much?
Yeah, it did, and that's really sad. Because this is back before digital shit, man. So they actually had to spend money on all the camera gear and all the lighting stuff and all the stuff. It was before the digital filmmaking revolution. So all of that money had to go somewhere. But yeah, this movie. I really don't like this movie if you can't get my drift here. I really don't.
It's like I knew that I had seen this movie, and it's one of the, obviously rewatched it for the show, but you start to realize that when you go to the movie rental store as a kid and you rent 5 slasher movies, and then in a couple of days you return those 5 slasher movies and rent 5 more of them, they kind of bleed together, and you kind of forget, what one is which and which one was good and which one was bad, which, were in between. So it's like, Oh, I have vague flashes of memory of this movie, but I think I had just forgotten whether it was good or bad. And then I saw it again, and I'm like, oh, it's fucking bad.
Yeah, I saw this one for the first time, I would guess probably about, I don't know, maybe like 8 or 9 years ago. And it was one of those ones where it's like, oh, well, it's New Year's Eve, and I think I wanted to like watch a horror movie, and because around the holidays, that's what you do. At least for me, that's what you do, is you try to search out horror themed holiday films. And sure enough, this was the only one. And I'm like, oh, let's put it in, and watch it. And it was boring then, and it was boring today, watching it. It's, what this movie does have, which is really fantastic and a symbol of its time. Fantastic cover art.
Oh, yeah.
It's got fantastic cover art.
Well, the cover art is even better when you put my face in it.
Oh, what was that? That was last year's thing? Did we do that last year?
Oh, God, no. I think that was like 2017, 18. Like,
yeah. Did I do that one, or did you do that one?
Oh, you did. Yeah.
Okay.
It was a welcome New Year's Eve surprise.
Oh, shit. Yeah. That was funny because like I literally remember that I was sitting on the couch and it was right as right as the ball was dropping. I'm like, our podcast really should put something out for New Year's just to say like Happy New Year, blah blah blah. And I got the Photoshop app on my phone. And I was like, oh, it's a free one. Let's try it out. And I was like, well, let me just try to cut John's face and put it in there. And it did kind of work. But yeah, so the cover art in this film is really good. And that's kind of indicative of this. And I imagine a large portion of that $500,000 went to just the cover art alone. Because it's good. It's really solid stuff. But that's kind of all you're marketing it on. There's nothing else after that.
Well, that was a big thing back in the day because, like, I talked to a guy named Tom Hodge who said that, like, the art of the cover art is dead because now you have to get something that's going to fit as a thumbnail on Netflix, and you have to be able to see that thumbnail on a phone on Netflix.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just going to be like, big or something with Tom Hanks is just going to be Tom Hanks's giant face, just so like, you see it. But back in the day, they used to be able to do these cover arts because that's what sold the movie. Because chances are New Year's Evil probably played in, I don't know, like 1,200 theaters, maybe less, just all sporadically around the country. And most people saw it at the rental store and went, oh, that title seems catchy, and oh, the cover art looks good. And that's why we rented a hell of a lot of movies back in the day. It was because, the cover art tricked us, or something.
I know for me, I was all about the cover art. Go to the video rental store and you're just like, yep, that one I got to get because of the cover art. And the even funny thing about it was like, oftentimes the cover art would not even feature any of the actors. They would honestly, that was mainly because of the fact they would make the cover art before they even made the movie, before they even cast the film. So, like, you would literally have someone going off of just concept or just maybe a very rough script and, painting away at these cover arts before even having to cast.
Yeah. Look at Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3.
Yeah.
The Dream Warriors. Like, actually, I was like, go watch the movie and then look at the poster and be like, hey, wait, that person wasn't in there. That person wasn't wearing that. Who the hell is that?
Yeah. So New Year's Evil is one of these movies that kind of like 1980 was a very weird year for horror because that's kind of when you started to see the slasher film. Really, would you say this was starting to get like saturated at this point, or like just about to start getting that point?
I would say just about before like it absolutely blew up. I mean, like there were people following Halloween, but it wasn't, I don't think, like pump one out every year. I think like between like 81 and 85 is when, there was like 35 a week. But
gotcha.
This was right before the blow up.
Yeah. And the film itself is, it's a fucking mess. Let's just put it that way. So here's the concept. I'll give you the concept here. Punk rock lady icon, okay, is terrorized by a man with a voice changer who's evil, who's killing women at the stroke of midnight at different time zones and is slowly coming towards her.
That's kind of an interesting premise. I gotta say, the premise was good on paper. They just did not execute it worth a shit.
Yeah, the premise is really good on paper. I mean, aside from the whole, like, really misogynistic tendencies of the film.
Well, it is a 1980 slasher movie.
Oh,
sir.
but it's super bad.
Yeah.
Like, worse than most films from that era. Like, yeah, I mean, I want to save time for that. So, yeah, the movie opens up with what I would say is right off the bat, completely. I was like, this isn't a real thing. And, you know, correct me if I'm wrong. Granted, I was born in 1985. John, I think you were also born in 1985 as well, right?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah. So, like, we were a concept around this period. We did not exist. And the truth of the matter is that I know very little about 1980 punk culture or 1979, because I imagine this was filmed around that time. Punk culture at this particular time in Los Angeles, because I have an idea of what it is, and I don't think this is it. I don't think punk rock was doing TV shows in Los Angeles. Okay. But I might be wrong. Okay. Might be totally wrong. But either way, there's this punk rock lady icon named Blaze. That's her name. Okay.
I have a male friend named Blaze. So.
I know you do. And I made fun of you one time. I said, what is his best friend's name? Taze and Blazer and Laser. You know,
they're not American Gladiators.
No, but I'm just saying, like, you have a name like Blaze. Like, come on. But either way, her name's Blaze, and she's kind of like, I would call her like the Elvira of punk rock. Like, she does these call-in shows.
Oh, yeah. This is pre-MTV, too. So I imagine this show syndicated.
Yeah. Yeah, like a Casey Kasem type deal.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what I viewed it as. But she does these late-night call-in shows of the top, what she calls punk rock and new wave music, which I'm thinking, like, those don't go together ever. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I like both. Like, I really do. Like, there are some new wave hits from that time period that I'm like, yeah, I like them. But then there also are some punk rock hits that I like. And I'm pretty sure they don't mix.
This seems like USA Up All Night, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. But yeah, Blaze, her real name is Diane, but we can't call her that. We got to call her Blaze because, you know, punky. She's doing this New Year's Evil. No, excuse me. She's called this New Year's call-in show, and she's specifically calling it New Year's Evil again because she's vying for the punk rock nature, which I'm like, punk rock isn't evil, and that means you're calling your audience evil, and then the police are also like, there's a lot of mixed messaging from Blaze, you know?
Yeah. I think they wanted to go like a heavy metal route, but then like punk was so big in like New York with CBGBs, and so they took a look at like 3 photos in a newspaper and said, okay, here's what we think punk rock is.
Yeah. Yeah, because this isn't it. Like, it's neither. And I as someone who does listen to this stuff, I kind of find it a little offensive. Plus, also, and I'll get to this, the mosh pit scenes in this are, oh my God, laughable.
I really do feel that they felt they had to like pad the runtime. And so they're like, when they had the scenes with the crowds and stuff, they're like, let's just get shots of people, mosh pitting and dancing, and we won't direct them. So they won't really know what they're doing, but we'll just get video of them so that in case we need to like drag out the time of this movie because the distributor needs it to be like 4
they didn't
minutes
do a
longer.
good job because this film still feels long. Like, this movie feels like a drag. It's only 85 minutes, and it feels like it drags on. But yeah, so Blaze has an assistant. I believe her name is it Yvonne? Yeah, Yvonne. and she gets axed in the first like 5 minutes of it.
Which, it is the classic setup
That's
for one
classic.
of these that, doesn't have a kill every 10 seconds. Like, you got to give, and I guarantee it comes down from the producer, like, or the executive producer, like, you got to get a kill early on, just so the audience doesn't get bored if you're going to take a while to set up your premise. So get one early.
Yeah, no, it's true. And that then leads us into probably the only thing that most people remember from this movie is a song called New Year's Evil. That's repeated at least 3 times in this movie.
Well, hey, for your consideration, they got to think about the Oscars,
For your consideration, New Year's Evil for best song. No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. But yeah, this song, and I was looking into this song because I'm like, why do they keep repeating this fucking song? And here's the reason why. There's only 2 bands in the soundtrack for this whole entire fucking movie. 2 bands. That's it. Okay? The song New Year's Evil was written by Roxanne Seaman and Eduardo Del Barrio and performed by a band called Shadow, which I could not find anything about. Okay? Could not find a damn fucking thing about them. Okay? And Shadow does almost all of the music in the film, with the exception of another band called Made in Japan, which I also could not find anything about.
Oh, you tell me the Crazy Kids didn't make it?
Yeah, that is what I'm telling you. So yeah, there for a punk rock musical horror film, they're kind of lacking on the punk rock part.
Whoopsie.
Yeah. And this song, don't get me wrong, it's not half bad, but it's not punk rock at all. It's kind of a mish-mash of it. And it's I don't care for it. It's not terrible.
It's just meant to be.
It's vanilla.
Yeah.
It's vanilla. That's what it is. It's just vanilla.
And Norma Ray, a song from Norma Ray won Best Original Song. So this New Year's Evil could have kicked that movie's ass.
True. So yeah, we get this very long, drawn out credit scene because you got to have enough time to play the song the whole time through. Okay. Then we're basically in the credit scene, we're following this group of, I'm going to call them straight what they are, fake punk rockers, like driving through Los Angeles. They're on their way to, I guess, this televised live thing at the Hollywood Hotel. And sure enough, they get to the front. I love this scene because it's so stupid. Like, it literally is the dumbest thing ever. So this group of fake punk rockers, excuse me, they get out of their car. They're standing in front of a police officer who's like, tickets, please. Ticket, please. Ticket, please. And the punk rocker's like, I'm intimidating you. And he pulls out like a switchblade because, that's what's going to happen. And he flips it and it turns into a comb. And like, that distills down this movie to a T. It really does. Phony.
They say very early on, you want to set the tone for what kind of movie you're going to have. So this one wasted very little time.
I mean, that set the tone that it's fucking stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it did. Yeah. So getting back to our lead here, Blaze, who by the way, is played by Roz Kelly. I guess she had a role in Happy Days. Is that correct?
Oh,
I think she did. Yeah, she was Arthur Fonzarelli's girlfriend, Pinky Tuscadero, in Happy Days.
Yeah,
she was Pinky.
Yeah, she was okay. Yeah,
I never watched Happy Days.
Yeah, she was the Fonz's bottom. Yeah,
the Fonz's bottom. Yeah, so she was a name, and her son, who kind of is weird. Gonna get into that a little bit more. He kind of pops into the hotel and he's wearing a weird outfit. He's wearing like an oversized tuxedo coat with tails and a t-shirt. and like shorts.
Yeah. You know, and it's weird, like when you watch one of these movies that, you know, this one's like 41 years old.
Yeah.
And you look up, you know, who these people are, like, and the son, I'm like, have I seen him in something before? And I look up, I couldn't find him on the cast IMDb thing because he was so fucking old that I was like, that can't be. Oh, that is him. And when you click on his profile, there is a picture of him sweaty, shirtless from Tiger Beat. I'm like, oh, well, he
From
had his
Tiger
moment.
Beat.
He had his moment in The Sexy Son, I guess.
Well, he was in Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
And the sequel, right? Yeah.
Was there a sequel to it? There was not a sequel to Killer Clowns.
I thought there was. I don't know.
I don't think
Doesn't
so.
matter.
Either way. Yeah, so his son pops in, her son pops in, and it's, you know, while she's trying to get ready for all this stuff, and you get the feeling that Blaze is a terrible mother because like her son's telling her like, hey, I got this part and it was great, and you know, I'm on this role, and she's like not even paying attention to him at all.
Yeah.
And I guess it's supposed to set up that, you know, she doesn't pay attention to anyone other than her show.
She's a workaholic. This one.
Yeah. Perfectionist and workaholic. That's what she's done. And it's kind of, you know, it puts that out there to us, the audience, because that's going to come into play down the line. Lazy writing. Okay. So while this is going on, we also find out that Blaze's husband, Richard, is in, I think, Palm Springs, like getting high. That's what we're told.
As you do.
And that does come back. Everyone that goes to Palm Springs, you got to get high. You got to snort the cocaine. Either way.
Quick sidebar. The son was also in John Russo's Santa Claus.
Oh, God, no.
Yep. Yeah. So, you know, small world.
Small world. Yeah. So as the New Year show gets kicked off, of course, you know, Blaze comes out and she's looking 1980 hot.
Yeah, I mean, well, she's got to be like 45 years old.
Yeah.
Not that I'm being ageist here, but, you know.
I was going to say Elvira is, I think she's like, what, 60?
Oh, I was just about to say, yeah, the only person that could pull it off is Elvira. I don't know. Cassandra Peterson drank like virgin blood many years ago. And
yeah. She's still fucking hot. I don't care. Yeah. That woman's going to be like 90 years old, still a smoke show. I already can tell that.
She'll be in her 90s, but her tits will be in their 20s. That's the great thing about a boob job.
Yeah. So anyway, you know, Blaze comes out and sounds that the show is going to be called New Year's Evil because of all the evil in the room. Okay.
Yeah, take that, mom and dad.
Yeah, pretty much. And we get our first call in from Evil. So as we mentioned, this guy, okay, calling from a phone booth, already dating the movie. And he's using like, what is it? Like the sort of thing that someone who has like a tracheotomy.
Yeah, a voice box.
A voice box, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the voice box.
Yeah.
He says, hello, Blaze. This is Evil. And basically what he's telling her is that he's going to kill somebody at the stroke of midnight, depending on every time zone. So, okay, crazy person. And that's what Diane thinks. It's like, oh, this guy's a crazy person. So she starts to get the police involved. And what I find funny is the police in this movie are some of the worst police officers ever. They just are.
Yeah, most police officers, like most detectives in these movies, are god awful until it bites them in the ass. You know.
Well, Detective 3-piece suit comes in, and you know, he kind of comes in. And he's like, "Oh, you want our help after you are assholes because of your punk rockness?"
Yeah, yeah. Your dirty delinquents out there is probably one of them.
Yeah, it's like, well, you expect it's going to happen. It's like, dude, you shouldn't care. It's the police.
Yeah, it's victim like blaming.
Yeah, and here's the thing is that I see this happen still.
Yeah.
You know, I still see this happen still. Oh, well, you want us to protect you during a protest? Well, fuck you.
That's like you hear that a lot at like Disney World, like all these like performers that play a certain character like come forth and they'll be like, well, I mean, you were pretty hot in that Jasmine outfit. I'm sure he probably couldn't help himself, you know. Maybe you shouldn't have been wearing that Jasmine outfit. It's my job to wear it.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, the police are clearly like not trying to help lift a finger over a crazy person calling. And we get our first kill because here's the funny thing about our killer, okay, who we don't know his name. We just know his name is Evil at this point. And he's kind of a master of disguise. Would you say? Oh, yeah.
He's it's actually kind of neat, actually, how he can blend in there. He's got all these costumes and everything. Like, I feel like this movie had a sprinkling of potential, and then they put that sprinkle on a table and pooped on it, you know?
Yeah. So the first place that Evil goes to is a mental institution, and he's like pretending to be a doctor there, and he's like, you know, trying to wine and dine some nurse that comes around his way, and he's got his like tape recorder on him the whole time so he can listen to the live show, and you know, everything about him screams that this guy is bad news, but women, for whatever reason, just seem to flock to him.
It's that bad boy energy he has.
I guess so. Because this nurse is like, oh, good, we need all the help we can get. And he's like, oh, well, do you want to go get drunk and, you know, make out? But what about all the help you need? Like, back in the ward? No, here, let's go get champagne. Just a little bit.
It was 1980s. Like, people, like, her vagina probably had a smoking addiction. You know what I mean? Like,
Jesus Christ.
You know, it's like, yeah, you want to go get stoned and fuck each other on an autopsy table while people are desperate in need of their medication. Okay, it's 1980. Ronald Reagan was just elected president. Woo!
It's not going to be woo. It's not going to be woo. It's not going to be woo at all. But anyway, yeah. So she ends up becoming, the nurse ends up becoming the first kill. And they do it in a way that clearly shows that they had no money, because they don't show anything. They just show like the stabby, and then they cut to like the patients in the insane asylum, like going all crazy because New Year's Eve is on. Why would you have that on if you see that's going to have that reaction with the patients? That's what I don't get.
Yeah, I think this movie also hated punk rock because there is like cross-cutting sometimes between the punk rock kids dancing and then the people at the insane asylum dancing.
Yes.
Like what are you trying to say here?
This movie does not like punk rock because it doesn't understand it. I kind of picked up on that too. But yeah, so she ends up becoming the first kill. And yeah, as you mentioned, the bands are playing. Now I got to talk about the bands here. Okay, I already talked a little bit about how, one, I don't think they're real bands. I don't think they exist. I think they were made up. But the mosh pit scenes are crazy laughable because clearly it looks like there was no music playing at all, and there was no direction with any of the scenes there. Like they literally just said, okay, pretend to be a mosh pit, but don't really be a mosh pit.
Yeah, because we don't want anybody to get a lawsuit on us. So yeah, don't actually mosh pit with each other.
But like, you've seen like a real mosh pit, right?
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, I've been in one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did that look at all like a mosh pit?
No, God no.
No, it looked like they were all a bunch of sardines, just like trying to politely move around. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, yeah, like you said, I'm sure there was no direction. There was no music. It's just like, all right, go. And people are like, well, what are we doing? What are we doing? Well, we're actors. Come on. Well, we can make it up, you know?
Well, what I find funny is like there's one scene where they're playing like some very like slow jam music that's, again, not punk. and they clearly have the same mosh pit for the faster music. So it doesn't match, you know?
Yeah.
It's like when we watched, what the hell movie? Watch Under Control. Remember that? We watched Under Control and it didn't have the music in any of the club scenes yet. Because it was like a first cut of it. And we're like, you're seeing these people dancing, nothing. You're just like, oh, well, there'll be music in there eventually. It just feels weird. And it's the same thing with this particular movie.
And all the sound like the people were making was like so loud because there was no like music to kind of cover up. So you just hear somebody do 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 like so loud.
Yeah. So Evil calls into Blaze again and says, I've killed somebody. And he literally lays out exactly who he killed, lays out where they're at. So right off the bat, he's kind of the worst serial killer ever because he's literally telling everyone where they're at and where he's at.
This is like 1980. Like, if you wanted to get away with murder, you could. Like, as long as you weren't sloppy about it. Like, Ted Bundy, the only reason he was caught after he escaped to Miami was because he had a tail light out. And he knew that the license he was going to give the cop wasn't a real license, so he fucking ran. Like, if he hadn't had a tail light out, Ted Bundy may still be living in fucking Miami.
Yeah? Now that you think about it, you're right. I mean, they didn't really have, like, DNA or anything like that back then, and there weren't true crime podcasts out there to unravel your mystery for you.
Yeah.
I love how that's now become a trope of the true crime podcast that really is doing the job of the police. I've seen that in so many TV shows now. Like, oh, God, not a true crime podcast. Like, I'm watching Dexter New Blood.
Yep.
Yeah. And there's, like, this true crime podcast who comes in, and she's slowly, like, discovering everything about this. Like, he's picking all the pieces apart. I'm like, goddamn true crime podcast doing the police's job.
Well, the funny thing is, like, if you really started to look at the Bay Harbor Butcher case, like, you would find a lot of problems with that case.
Yeah. Like, a ton of them, all on the bottom of the floor of the Atlantic. But yeah, so Evil says he's going to kill another one. It's now become serious. While all this is going on, we get a very bizarre scene with Blaze's son. Like a really weird scene where he literally is like putting it's like almost like the stocking of his mother on his head.
Yeah, like David Lynch took over for this part, I think.
Yeah, and you're like, what the hell is going on? Like, he's like, I don't have a problem. No, Claire, you do.
Yeah.
And he's like watching his mom on the TV and then putting her stocking over his head. And I'm just like, this is oddly sexual.
Yeah, this guy has some like deep Freudian issues. Like,
yeah,
Freud was coming and shitting at the same time. You just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, this is not good. Not good. And it's supposed to set up that, the kid's got some problems. So obviously to the audience, we end up thinking like, oh, is he the killer? Despite the fact that he's in the hotel the whole time. Okay. So yeah, getting back to Evil. Evil now decides to go all Ricardo Montalban on his face, and he kind of puts on like a mustache and his favorite 1970s disco suit, and he infiltrates a New Year's Eve party. As you do.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. As long as you have a disco suit on, they just let you. You don't even have to pay the cover.
No, they don't even care. They don't even care. And what I love the fact is how ridiculously fake his mustache is, that no one calls him out on it. Like, he doesn't match his hair.
Hey, sometimes the mini drapes don't match the carpet, okay?
I get that, but it looks completely fake. Like, it doesn't even look good. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it looks like shit. And no one calls him out on it. And he meets this one woman. I think, what is her name? Sally? Yeah, I think it's Sally.
Like that. Victim number two.
Victim number two, who's kind of like the ditzy blonde, and she has her friend next to her, and he's, again, trying to like get her to go with him. Unfortunately, this time around, the friend comes too, and he's like, all right, fine, I guess I'm killing two women. And how does he kill her in this way? Because honestly, I started to like hate this movie again as I was watching it. It was around this part. I was like, I really don't like this.
Well, see, I actually thought this scene was really funny because he tells the one lady to go in and gives her $100 bill and says like, go get the nicest bottle of champagne you can. And then when you see the guy like counting off her change to her, you realize she spent $5. And she's gonna pocket the $95. So yeah, like when she like leaves, her friend like gets a plastic bag over her head, and then he goes to find her like in the dumpster, and it's like, surprise, I'm in the dumpster, and pulls the other woman in there, and so I guess like double your victim. That's a statement of the great victim and double mint gum. No, it's not.
Double mint gum. Double your pleasure, double your victim, double mint gum. Yeah. That kill was not really good. I think that's probably why I don't really remember it too much, was because it was this unremarkable. I think that's the last kill we have before he infiltrates the party, right?
Oh, well, no. There is.
Did he kill somebody else?
Well, he accidentally runs into like a bunch of like motorcycles.
Oh,
bikes,
shit. Yeah, you're right.
And then it turns into like, a goddamn Benny Hill thing. Like where they're chasing after him and stuff. And he goes into a drive-in movie theater, abandons his car.
It's playing Blood Feast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then what? And then like Blood Fart comes on after it or something like that. It's the Blood series,
Yeah.
But yeah, and there's like that weird movie sensual touching that's like not how any people actually touch each other.
Well, it was bizarre because like the guy's literally like cupping her whole boob and like just grabbing it, and she's just like staring off of the movie going like, I'm just watching the movie, but you do whatever you want.
Well, except for when his hand was just like on her breastplate, and it's just like, dude, do you know how this works?
That's not how you're working with those.
Yeah. But yeah, our hero.
I don't think we call him a hero. He's not a hero.
Protagonist. Our protagonist, jumps the guy, like throws him out of the car, and then leaves with the lady still in the car, which kind of reminded me of like Grand Theft Auto when you carjack somebody, but then like, the other person's still in the car, and you can hear him screaming while you drive on.
Yeah.
But yeah, and of course, like how delightfully misogynistic this movie is, where she's like, "Hey, mister, I'll do anything. We can get it on, and I won't even make a fuss."
Yeah. Why does she sound like Harley Quinn?
Yeah. Mr. J.
Mr. J, I know you're crazy, but we can get it on. I won't say nothing to nobody.
But yeah, he fails to kill this one, which I thought was an odd choice for the
That
movie.
was an odd choice.
Because it doesn't even really pay off to anything. He just kind of like fucks up his plan, but it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, because I don't even think this one fell on midnight, right? It didn't even fall on like any of those time changes.
I think because he just had like that long like running away thing with the motorcycle gang that he missed out on this one. But I think I guess he figured that who's really gonna know that he missed it out by like 35 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah, I totally forgot about that one, because that one was actually like half interesting part. Because I'm like, oh well, what are you gonna do if you're the world's worst murderer and you act like that's my thing is, why would you even attempt to accidentally piss off a group of bikers? After you just killed 3 people. You be cautious.
And it's weird. It's like if Jason or Michael Myers or one of them guys like ran the foul of a bunch of bikers, like they would just kill them. Like this guy just seems like a giant pussy. Like, whoa!
Well, he was in like a priest outfit too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So eventually he infiltrates Diane's party, and it's revealed because at first we're thinking like this guy's gonna kill her because he puts on like a creepy mask on and he's like stalking her and he comes out and it's revealed that it's actually Richard, Diane's husband, who was coked up in Palm Springs. Not really.
Yeah. Her husband, Dick.
Her husband, Dick. Yeah. Okay. And we get the idea that the whole not really like talking to your family and kind of abandoning them for your work, that kind of happens to Richard too. And it's slowly revealed that the reason Richard's doing all this is because the way that he's treated by Diane. Again, with the misogyny here, like real bad. My wife's more successful than me, so I must kill because of reasons.
Well, don't forget, she's also turning the son into a little foo-foo fairy boy or whatever, you know?
No, I think that kid's like just screwed up.
Well, that's what the dad, he's like, you emasculated our son. He's a pussy, Like,
yeah.
If I kill you, then he's going to want to bang every bitch or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
Something along those lines. So, like, Diane starts to freak out because, like, obviously her husband is a murderer and has been terrorizing her.
But she doesn't really freak out, does she? Like, I want you to imagine for a second that an elevator has stopped and you are pressing Lauren up against the wall with a knife, saying how you're crazy this whole time and you're going to kill her and you've killed 4 other women. Would you think Lauren would be nearly as calm as this woman is in this fucking scene?
No, she would not be.
Yeah. It's like, what direction did they really give her for this? Because, she's more like mildly inconvenienced by her husband being a crazy person than she is actually like scared or, I don't know.
I think they could probably chalk that up to shock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the only thing I think of is shock. Where like most people think that they would act a certain way, but then the thing happens and you're like, well, you're kind of numb and in shock at the same time as terrified. So like that's my guess of that. But it also could just be that Ross Kelly really isn't that great of an actress in this role.
That could be a thing, yeah. How dare you speak this way of Pinky?
I'm sorry, Pinky, but you're not good as Blaze. But either way, he reveals he's going to kill her, and he's going to take his son to the Rose Bowl to watch football. I'm like, dude, you killed like how many women? And you're killing your wife? You're not going anywhere.
No, again, dude, he probably would just get away with it, And because the thing is, he could say, like, hey, where's your wife? Like, oh, she went to her mother's in the boons, and her mother doesn't have a phone. It's 1980. That's almost believable. She's going to be there for 3 weeks.
Well, it's clearly 1980. There aren't always phones everywhere.
Yeah. Well, that's an open and shut case. I guess we'll see your wife in 3 weeks. Unless she leaves me and stays with her mother forever. Well, that'll be fine. Yeah, we won't look into that at all.
Yeah. She actually left this note saying, I leave him.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
Signed Dick's wife.
Signed Dick's wife. Yeah. So the way that Richard wants to kill her is he wants to take her to the elevator and like have her go up and down and like crash the elevator with her hanging by a chain underneath it, which just seems really, really complicated.
I think this is where all the budget for this movie went.
Oh, totally did.
Yeah.
It totally did. I will say this. This does have one of my favorite scenes in this movie, and it's when Blaze is all like chained up underneath the elevator, and it's clearly going up and down. It's going down, and the people inside the elevator are either drunk or high or both. And he's like, what the shit? Like the guy literally is just like, what the shit's going on? And it cracks me up every time.
Yeah, you should have waited for the next one, pal. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
he probably took it down when he needed it up, and it's like, oh well, it'll go the other way eventually.
No,
should have waited for the next one.
No. So yeah, the elevator is going to kill Blaze, and At the same time, Detective Three-Piece Suit kind of shows up because he's been on the case the whole time and like been slowly uncovering pieces. And it's, you know, they eventually figure out that it's you know, Richard who's the killer, and he sends him and his you know, unbulletproofed police officers, which again, it's another thing about 1980s that is interesting to note, is that none of those police officers wear any body armor. So they get shot, they're dead.
Yep.
And there's a shootout that happens in that elevator room. The elevator gets shot at, causing it to stop. And Richard tries to make an escape up the stairs. He gets to the top, and Detective Three-Piece Suit pops out. He's like, "Don't you dare!"
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. His paperwork would be easier if the guy killed himself, I would think.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah, let him jump.
I would just been like, "Dude, you are saving me a ton of paperwork on New Year's Day." So,
like, you know, Riggs or Murtaugh, I can't remember which one, in like Lethal Weapon, and just like jump off the roof with him.
That would be a Riggs thing.
Riggs, yeah, that would have to,
yeah.
I can't remember which one was Donald Glover or Danny Glover, excuse me. Yeah.
I mean, Riggs would be the crazy one to jump off of a roof. Yeah. He'd be like, "Oh, well, you're gonna kill somebody. You're gonna kill yourself. Well, I'll kill you too as you're going down." What? What? Yeah, I'll kill you as you're going down. Yeah, we'll both die together. What? You have a death wish, don't you? Yeah, I do. It's because my wife died. Okay, Riggs. Gotcha. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Richard jumps off the roof and dies, which, by the way, if you jump off of a roof of a very tall, like, skyscraper, which the Hollywood Hotel is pretty tall, your body's not going to be intact by the time it hits the ground.
Splat. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, it's total splats. Like goo. Like
a watermelon ever roll off the kitchen counter and smash on the ground, that's what it's going to look like.
Yeah, but this guy's body is perfectly intact. Like his face, you can see it. He's only got a little bit of blood on him. And
they blew $498,000 of the budget on the elevator scene, okay?
Either that or the very phony-looking mannequin that they threw off of the roof, too.
I always love that in movies, though. It's great.
Where you just see, like, he jumps off, and then, oh, God, there's a mannequin in the clothing as it comes down, not arms moving at all. And
that
it just
stop motion, you know, one of the two. Yeah.
I don't know. Stop motion I find to be more fun.
It still works to me for Batman 89. I don't know if it's because it's like blurry as the Joker's falling or something, but like I still buy it.
My favorite instance of stop motion falling death scenes has to be RoboCop.
Dick Jones?
Dick Jones and his extremely long arms.
Oh, man, I feel so bad. He was at Steel City Con.
Yeah.
And like he walked right by me and I'm like, you know, you're the man, Ronnie. And like his handler like looked at me and went, "He's basically deaf. I'm sure he appreciates it."
Oh, God.
I'm like, oh, it's awkward.
He's basically deaf. Jeez, that's horrible. You should have just been like, "I work for Dick Jones." Dick Jones. Dick Jones. Yeah. So getting back to this, you know, evil's dead. And we get this whole scene where Derek pops up and the creepy son, and he like goes over to his dad's body and is like just grabbing it and be like, "Oh, Daddy, you're dead." And again, no one's coming around to be like, "Hey, get him off the dead corpse."
Yeah, he's fucking up the crime scene. But, you know, I mean, I get it, man. That kid was going to go to the Rose Bowl. That's the biggest goddamn game on New Year's Day. Like, I would have been pissed, too. I've been like, I would have started searching his body for the tickets, you know?
You would have searched. Here we go. Front row seats. Awesome, Dad. Thanks.
Yeah. Ohio State versus Miami? Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So after this happens, you know, Blaze is put into the back of the ambulance, and we leave the door open for a sequel because fuck us, right? Because
this ending makes no sense.
Yes, makes no sense.
Can you explain this to me, Brian? Is there a second killer? Is there what the fuck?
No, what I gathered from this is that after Derek saw his dad dead on the like concrete. Okay. He kind of blamed his mom for everything because he already was on that tangent of like, he secretly loves his mom in a carnal sense and at the same time hates her. Kind of like a Norman Bates type deal.
Yeah.
And saw the mask. So he grabbed the mask for evil because that was also on the ground and decided that he was going to finish the job.
So he decided this in the span of about 3.5 minutes.
That is correct. Yes.
And nobody saw him take the mask or get into the truck and kill the paramedic.
Yes.
And he also knew of his dad's plan, even though he didn't know his dad's plan whatsoever.
Well, here's the thing. I imagine that he's got the same, because they mentioned that Richard had been to the mental hospital that he killed that nurse at before. So my guess is that they have the same sort of mental illness.
But like the movie ends with that. Like, actually, I think it's kind of clever. It's like, oh, it's New Year's Eve or it's New Year's Day in Hawaii, the last time zone.
Oh.
And so, yeah, he killed somebody right before, the but so he had to know what his dad's master plan was in order to pull off this
Not
murder.
necessarily. I think it's more or less a matter of the kid blames his mom because he already was blaming her to begin with for being kind of a shitty mother. And the dad dying just kind of put him over the edge. I think they both were suffering from the same issue of neglect from Blaze. Yeah. But that ultimately they both came to the same conclusion on their own. That's kind of, at least for me, that's how I logicalized it. Still shitty writing though.
I didn't even know it was the son. I thought they were inferring the guy that just fell off the roof and died was like okay all of a sudden.
I mean, he looked like he was okay for a man who falls off the roof. He's gonna be open casket, no problem.
Yeah, he's just gonna need a Band-Aid or two, really.
Yeah, I mean, if he really fell off the roof, he'd be a bucket because that's what they would have at the funeral. Would be a bucket.
It'd be like that South Park where they throw like the dead fetal pig off the roof and pretend it's Butters, and the mom's just grabbing the innards. Butters.
Yeah, that was a good one. Very good one. Yeah, and that's New Year's Evil, folks. I hate this movie. That's all I could say. I mean, that's really it. This movie only exists to just be a horror film centered around New Year's Eve. That's literally it.
Holiday cash grab. Like
it totally is.
Motherfucking Halloween. Because that movie did not need to take place on Halloween. But one of the producers was like, well, we slap a holiday on it, it'll make more money. Like a holiday name. Yeah. And so all right. Well, I guess we'll just throw some jack-o'-lanterns in the background, even though. And by that, we got Friday the 13th, New Year's Evil, Mother's Day, like all these fucking holiday-themed horror movies. Like, I think there's probably one for every holiday. I mean, if you want to consider Leprechaun a St. Patrick's Day movie.
I kind of do.
Yeah, that's probably not okay. But, whatever.
But whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that this movie, aside from, say, a song and the title are just laughable, and it's not entertaining at all. I mean, this was literally the longest 85 minutes in a while for me. Like the last time I had a movie that felt this long, I was watching Neil Breen shit.
Yikes! Yeah.
Okay.
And it doesn't even check off the right boxes. Like there's not enough like gore to get the young boy audience, and there's not enough boobs for the like older boy audience, and there's also not enough like cheap scares to like hopefully get your girl all horned up for the backseat groping. It's so I don't even know
backseat groping.
Yeah, sticky fumblings. So I don't even know who this is supposed to appeal to.
I think the lowest common denominator. That's who I think this was supposed to appeal to. The lowest common denominator. Just get something out quick, make it. Again, $500,000. Is nothing. That's chump change for a movie, especially from 1980. Like that's really bad.
Yeah, kitschy title, cool poster, and the idiots will flock in. I'm sure that's how they said it,
Yeah. I blame the Cannon Group because this was their movie, and they're known for kind of making questionable films.
Cannon is a lot like Roger Corman. Like, there's one or two of like gems inside 300 pieces of shit. If you go through Cannon's, whole catalog, there's a few good things in there. A few. Yeah, including Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Oh God, not that one. Yeah.
I don't know if people can hear. I'm babysitting my friend's dog. If you hear squeaking, it's his toy.
I heard squeaking.
Yeah, that's so. Sorry about that, everybody. But he doesn't understand how podcasts work.
He's like, I know I'm a dog, and I know good and boy. That's it. All right. Well, that's all I got for New Year's Evil. This movie's on Amazon Prime, so you can definitely watch it. But I would suggest that this is definitely one that you put on during your New Year's Eve party that you don't intend to actually like watch. It's good background fodder.
Yeah, just watch it every couple of minutes for a few laughs, and then go out for a cigar or a bottle of or a glass of champagne or some shit.
Yeah. But just don't opt to sit down and watch this movie like sober. Watch it so that. Oh, what was that?
Like we did.
Yeah, like we did. Yeah. Well, that's about it. Well, Happy New Year's to you, John.
Happy New Year's to you, good sir.
Happy New Year's to you.
And may 2022 treat you well, and hopefully that we'll actually end this pandemic this year. Who knows? Probably not.
I'm not gonna put any stock in that.
But hey, we're vaccinated and we've had our booster, so we can actually start doing shows in person again.
We can, which I think you mentioned that you got plans for 2022, some live shows.
Heck yeah.
Obviously, if Omicron doesn't fuck us up completely.
Yeah.
Or whatever other kind of
goddamn
transformer
Omni consumer products or whatever.
Yeah, well, I was going to say like whatever other kind of transformer laden variant comes out next. Wait for
Look
Optimus
out, Optimus Prime. It's Omnicron.
Every single time I hear these variants, I'm just like, oh god, they're going to get to one. They're just going to call it Optimus Prime. I got that damn Optimus Prime variant got me.
Oh man, that's no good. That killed my uncle.
Goddamn Optimus Prime variant. They've got to get a 5th booster for that. Yep, we're calling it the Energon booster.
Yes.
All right. Well, John, where can they find you at on the internets?
The Unreal J Wolves on Twitter. I'm on Facebook if you're so inclined. I think it's private, but if you friend me and you actually explain who the fuck you are, well, I'm sure we can make that work. And over at at YouTube, JDubs Video Nasties. So check that out. I apologize to everybody that my Santa Claus video is probably going to come out in early January. Kind of let that one fall through the cracks a little bit.
It happens.
Yeah, enjoy. It's still full of good jokes for this year, and then you can enjoy it next year at any point during the holiday season.
There you go. And that's the thing is, that's the magic of the internet is it's all on demand. So someone might want a, Christmas in July type thing, and they're going to come back to your video. There you go. Yeah. Well, you can find me at Brian Connington. I also run our Psycho Show page. Be sure to like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Psycho Show. You can also find us on the Epicast Network at epicastnetwork.com. If you have a favorite movie or question you want to throw our way, you can contact us at cinemapsychoshow.com. Unless if you're Roz Kelly and you want to attack me for saying that your scared acting was not that good, don't contact us.
I was Pinky Tuscadero, motherfucker.
Yeah, I know. Be sure to subscribe or follow us wherever you listen to audio, and we will see you next time. And again, have a happy new year. Please stay safe, and we will see you all next time.
2020 wasn't easy, and 2021 wasn't much better, but hey, hopefully 2022 is your year, and everything, comes to fruition the way you want it. We are happy you tuned into this episode. We love you, and take care of yourselves, and have a great year.
Have a good one.